Being emotionally available means you are able to and you choose to understand and respond to another person's needs and intentions, specifically in a partnership, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic partnership. Emotional unavailability is the opposite of that. So if you fall for an emotionally unavailable person, the first thing you need to do is have awareness, to be aware of your own patterns. What kind of people are you usually attracted to? I'm not referring to the physical attraction. I'm talking about what sort of a person, what sort of a personality are you usually attracted to? Are they toxic? Are they emotionally abusive? Are they emotionally unavailable or emotionally intimate or not? So if you have a history of falling for emotionally unavailable people, then there's something you need to address. Maybe you are attracted to who's familiar to you. Maybe there were many people, perhaps a parent or someone you truly cared about, who was also emotionally unavailable, and you had to fix them or serve them while sacrificing yourself to earn love. And that's the only way you think someone can love you. Maybe that's something that you believe, that makes you subconsciously prefer people like them. Maybe how you define love is a bit distorted. Maybe you think you need to constantly perform or save people in order to be loved or feel loved. And that's just how love is according to your belief system. Maybe you believe that you don't deserve love, or maybe you're not good enough for the kind of love that you prefer. Assume you've been getting stomach aches the past couple of years, and you're going to want to go to a doctor and address this pattern. What is going on? Is it your diet that's causing this? Is it bacteria? Is it a virus? Is it something else? A pattern, when it's harmful, tells you that there's something going on that needs your attention, because if it doesn't, it will create more and more harm in the future. One thing we tend to do when someone you like pulls away is to spiral with thoughts like, oh my god, I shouldn't have done things, I shouldn't have said this, I shouldn't have talked to them, what an idiot I am, or this is just a fling, this is just a situationship, we just went on a couple of dates, I shouldn't be feeling this way, I'm such a baby, I'm too emotional. None of that, please. When you feel something and you dismiss it, minimize it, or tell yourself you shouldn't feel that, that's emotional invalidation. Doing this will only worsen your emotional state. It does not make you feel less. It's associated with lower well-being, more distress, and you will tend to be more emotionally reactive, find it difficult to manage your emotions, and you'll have poor mental health and have depressive symptoms. And if there are other people who are constantly invalidating your emotions in this process of healing, you shouldn't listen to them. The third thing you need to do is to know what makes an emotionally unavailable person. According to psychology, emotionally unavailable people can be created due to emotional neglect in childhood or emotional abuse, even physical abuse, which creates fear of intimacy. There is also this thing where a person chooses the desire for freedom and autonomy rather than caring and committing to others. A lack of empathy, or the dark triad, where there are these three personalities: narcissism, psychopathy, and Machiavellianism. In my opinion, in my experience, there are three main ways a person who is emotionally unavailable can be categorized. One of those ways is avoidant attachment style. The attachment style is simply how you relate to others. An avoidant person, a person with an avoidant attachment style, is genuinely scared of intimacy or becoming close to someone because as a child or in a significant relationship, they have been emotionally neglected or abused. So they associate being close and emotionally intimate with actual danger and rejection. But you also have to understand when just because a person is avoidant does not mean they use manipulative tactics, deception, exploitation, or pathological lying. Their motive is avoiding emotional intimacy out of self-protection to protect themselves from getting hurt. There's a genuine fear of rejection and abandonment. Empathy for another person is possible, but unlikely because they're always trying to protect themselves. They have to prioritize themselves first, or they will be terribly hurt. And they tend to unintentionally hurt people by their actions. Then comes the non-committal person. They're like the breeze. The wind blows at times it wants to, in the intensity it wants to, and it doesn't matter to the wind what's going to happen to whatever is in sight. Like a heavy breeze can literally blow away your umbrella. But does the wind care? No, because the wind is happy. These people actually don't care. They're like a dancing little girl. You keep dancing and that's the only thing in mind. You're enjoying it so much, you really don't have the energy to notice or care about anything else. Or the rolling stones, they're the libertines. Monogamy is off the rails for these people. It's just something they don't want to do because they prefer freedom and autonomy above anything else. Does it mean that when you're emotionally involved with someone, you have to sacrifice your freedom and autonomy? Not if you're with like a sane person, but if you are emotionally involved, you have to compromise on some things. These people are not willing to do that. They just want to explore, go on adventures, have childlike fun, just go where the wind takes them. Having fun is their priority. They can be exploitative and they have a high need for stimulation. That's why I say they have a high need for adventure rather than staying in one place and committing to what requires compromise and a little bit of work and accountability. Their motive is not wanting to be tied down. They believe that emotionally involving themselves with someone is going to make them tied down and frustrated. And it makes them have to work for things. They don't like accountability. An emotionally intimate relationship can take some work. It requires you to care, to have empathy for someone else, to do things for them. They are not willing to do that, and it is a choice that they are making. These people can be highly emotionally unaware. They can be intentionally or even unintentionally cause hurt for someone because they would do anything for their joy, and they don't have time or even care about what someone else is going through. Some non-committal people can give you the illusion of being responsible. For example, they pay for things, having a career that requires a lot of accountability, but it's not the same in relationships, which makes it more difficult for you to not fall for that type of a non-committal individual because you tend to fall for potential. Or if this person is very caring and accountable in their job, which they are materialistically very successful, why can't they be in a relationship that is committed? So you tend to fall for their potential. These people genuinely want to feel power over someone else. They want to feel in control. You'll see behaviors like carrot dangling, deception, betrayal, gaslighting, violating your boundaries, and other manipulative strategies. They do things to derive some benefit out of you. It could be self-enhancement. That means to feel better about themselves by doing something. Some of these people genuinely want to see you hurt because they derive pleasure from it. They have something called strategic empathy. They will act like they do understand you, but it's because they need something from you, not because they genuinely care. They don't feel any guilt for doing what they do. They can be absolutely exploitative. Their motive is to have power over someone, to feel in control by taking advantage of someone else by disempowering them. Hurting you is more intentional. They can be very emotionally illiterate and also emotionally incapable. What often happens is we start to empathize with these people. When you try to deeply empathize with them, you unintentionally fall into what I call is the empathy trap. When you get to know that someone had a difficult childhood or genuinely struggles with relationships, you start to deeply empathize with them to the point of losing empathy for yourself. Suppose you have what people call is a situationship with an emotionally unavailable person, and it's very frustrating and draining for you. But then your mind starts to find reasons as to why this person is this way. And your mind will try its best to pick up on reasons that have nothing to do with who they actually are as a person. Accountability, self-reflection, self-awareness, nothing about that. The mind will try its best to convince you this person may have had a terrible childhood, or they had neglectful parents, or they haven't really felt what love feels like in a safe manner. That's why they are this way. And this happens through something called cognitive dissonance, or that's why this happens, where the mind finds it's difficult to hold two opposing beliefs or two opposing views about something. On one hand, you want this person to be good and loving. You want to believe this person is truly a good person and is capable of that. On the other hand, you also feel that this person is not taking accountability, is draining you, frustrating you, lying to you, it doesn't treat you right. And maybe you're right. Maybe they have no idea what safe love feels like, so they're avoiding connection with anyone that they meet. But it's irrelevant. What matters here is you, who's trying to do everything you can, performing, screaming, throwing, crying, serving, bending backwards to get someone to love you back. And women are more likely to do this because they are more emotionally open, but also because of their maternal instinct. So if you see someone emotionally wounded, your main basic instinct is to go and protect them or to save them emotionally. Then you get compassion fatigue. It shows us in people who are repeatedly exposed to others' suffering and results in a gradual depletion of emotional and physical energy. You know, in folklore or in ancient stories, white knights were known to save the damsel in distress, or another term for someone who needs rescuing. So the white knight syndrome is a need, but also a compulsion that someone has to save people. The white knight will only be drawn to a person who needs saving, so they likely only choose a person who has a huge void, someone who's been through something heavy and have not recovered, someone emotionally unavailable, someone who needs some fixing to be in a relationship with. This is not to say that even saving is a bad thing, or falling in love with someone who had a terrible childhood or past is a bad thing at all, and that you automatically become a white knight, that if you do fall in love with such a person, you can absolutely love and support someone even if they are a damsel in distress. But the difference between this white knight syndrome and a healthy way of saving is, in a healthy relationship, you are doing it out of genuine love and concern, and that's it. You love them, so you want them to get better. But as a white knight, you want to be appreciated, you want to be loved and celebrated for your heroic qualities. But you're terrified of losing someone, so you just keep serving, keep performing, keep trying to fix things, to feel a sense of self. that becomes your identity. If you are not in a connection that doesn't require you to fix or save the other person, you might as well leave, even if it's a healthy partnership. Thing is, more often than not, what happens when you try to fix or save emotionally unavailable people, it's going to backfire on you. And that's because even if they have the ability to change, even if an avoidant person can change with consistent support and love, even if the non-committal person can change with your support, it doesn't mean they will. Because for a person to change, you need to have three things: the ability, the willingness, and the readiness to change. And most of them just don't want to, or they're not in the right time in their lives, or whatever the reason that they're giving. And it's a waste of your energy, your time and effort to try to convince them otherwise, to keep trying to fix something that wants to remain that way. You need to see things for what they are and see them for who they are. Hold them accountable. You need to cut through the bullshit, see through the veil, the myth of he or she is pulling away because they feel too much for me. Sometimes it is true, especially in the case of avoidance, but I've seen many people saying this even in terms of narcissists. There was a narcissist, a particular narcissist I used to associate, and he showed me this text he got from one of his exes, let's say. And the girl just went on about how his trauma is affecting him, and that's why he's pulling away and doing all the ish he did. She literally blamed his avoidant attachment style for being promiscuous and for the deception and betrayal that he caused this girl. And I'm over here knowing damn well what the F is up with this guy, which at the time, with my background in psychology and also my interest in toxic personalities, I knew exactly what he was up to and what was going on with him. He had a lot of clear psychopathic traits as well as narcissistic ones, and it was in extremes. The whole text made me look back on myself and how I used to do this too. He's been through so much, and that's why he's doing this while he's laughing behind your back. Or not, maybe it's all true. Thing is, it doesn't matter because it's not going to help you. Don't generalize. You met a couple of emotionally unavailable people and it burned you, and now you're very bitter and resentful about love in general. You think, well, men are the worst or women are the worst, so I'm never going to love or date again. In psychology, we call this overgeneralization, where you think, if I get abandoned once by someone I'm interested in, I'm going to get abandoned by every romantic suitor, someone that I'm attracted to. This is also a cognitive distortion, but this is not helpful to you in any way. If you want to achieve your goal of finding a healthy partner you're attracted to and to feel good in that relationship, another side effect of being exposed to emotionally unavailable people, especially in the romantic context, is it makes you feel like the right person does not exist. And this is not helpful and also not true. That's not something I'm just saying for the sake of it or to make you feel better. They do exist, I'm telling from my experience, but you have to keep combing the dating arena and looking forward to it, rather than staying stuck in this mindset, oh, they're nowhere to be found, so I may just settle for someone I'm not interested in, but someone who can maybe give me just a little bit of material comfort. Listen, it's a real result of being abandoned over and over again, but you have to sacrifice that need to be fulfilled right now in order to get future progress. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. If you're dating, the best advice is to have a pool of prospects. The pool doesn't have to be a lot of people, but don't fully invest your attention, your energy, and time on one person. Disclaimer, I'm not talking about if you're in a committed relationship or you have promised something to someone you're dating. I'm just talking about the exploring stages of dating. Okay? You're trying to find who to commit to. You're trying to find who's compatible with you, who share a vibe with, you know? Don't go on a date or dates with one person and think, oh, this is the one, because it's likely you will idealize them. You put them on a pedestal, and what happens when you idealize someone? You ignore their red flags. Even if the flag is waving right in front of you. One reason this happens is they're the only object of desire in front of you right now. Imagine you're on an island and there are no other men or women, right, in the island. And that is what happens when you idealize someone. They're the best. Imagine there's a rubber duck, like a toy that you love to play with, and you idealize it. This is the best rubber duck there is. The color's wonderful, the size fantastic, the way it squeaks, amazing. Meanwhile, there are so many other rubber ducks in other stores that may be even better, but you don't get to see how they function or their colors or their textures or the way that they squeak because you're only seeing this rubber duck in this particular store. And the thing is, this rubber duck is low quality. This rubber duck may look amazing perhaps, or the texture could be amazing, but it doesn't last long. So it's important for you to invest your attention, your energy, your mind to many rubber ducks when you're exploring which one fits right to you and is lasting. Imagine you have the ducks in a row. Pun intended. You can weigh the pros and cons, and it gives you more power, it gives you more choices, because you are not powerless when you are choosing. Before anything, you need to make the decision to move forward. You should decide to heal. It's a choice you have to make, because if not, you will be back at square one with similar people. And throughout this process of healing and dating, you have to think of yourself like a friend that you're helping, to be gentle with yourself, to nourish yourself with a good self-talk. Think of yourself as the best friend you are helping, or that person you love so much that you will lend a hand during a difficult time with a person who is emotionally unavailable. Love to hear from you, so leave your comments down in the comments down below. See you in my next video.